If you didn't come from a healthy family, it's important to make sure a healthy family comes from you. Understand that, divine souls. And the reason I say that is because if we don't become more mindful of, the pros and cons that we may experience through our life, and understanding how certain, cycles have affected, you know, relationships, or even just your upbringing as a child. And if those things did not add the necessary value that they needed to, and that you needed from it, then it's important to make sure as you grow that you start to adopt whatever healthy habits are needed to cultivate healthier relationships in your life, to have a healthier life overall in your mind, body, and soul, because that will make all the difference and allow you to be that chain breaker. Because if you do not make the changes that are needed from the generations of experiencing similar unhealthiness, instability from within your life and that has been around you, then it will just continue that cycle. And it's important for us to start to pay attention to certain cycles and habits that need to be broken. And the only way they will be broken is by starting with you. Starting with yourself and seeing how you can be the one to be the difference. And so, as I said, if healthy relationships wasn't something that you came from, it's important to make sure that you create that, you cultivate that, starting with yourself. Build that relationship in every way with you from within, because once you do that, you have set the foundation for all the other relationships that will be around you and come into your life, and that you create with others. And it will either be what you've known before, or because of your growth, you are now aware and familiar of these unhealthy patterns and behaviors, and you now can start to create and form those healthier relationships and see how they flow into your life, and notice the difference between the two. And divine family, I gotta tell you, just from my own upbringing, I didn't come from a healthy relationships, and so forming those relationships within, my own self and around me has been one of the most important things, because I grew up and I was adopted at a young age. So right then and there, at 18 months, I already experienced, that separation and not having a father and mother figure to have in my life and be around. And that plays a big part in your growing up. Throughout my life, I also realized because of that, I lacked the self-worth and just acceptance of myself, just feeling as though that wasn't important, or as if I couldn't be who I truly was because I didn't know who I truly was. And so that had to do with just the different experiences in my life, from my mother who took me in, who I am the most grateful for. There was still a lot of instances where I couldn't be who I truly was. And so that relationship with my mother was conditioned. And I appreciate everything that has always been done for me, but I also realized too where things needed to change. And that I didn't realize these things until later on in my life. And this was after becoming lost within my own self, because I hadn't developed that relationship with my own self either, because I was so interested in trying to receive that from everyone around me, because it was something that was lacked in my life and was taken away from me at a young age. And so having that healthy bond, those healthy relationships, was always the one thing that was important to me and that I always seeked out for. But it was always the seeking outside of my own self, because of not knowing how important, the relationship within was first and foremost. To know I am important, to know that, you are worthy and that you are deserving. And so once I started to let go of the things around me, once I started to develop that relationship within my own self and seek self-love and self-care and self-acceptance from within my heart and soul, and connecting with God, that is when I truly realized that it all started with me just knowing and understanding that I am important, you are important, and that those relationships in your life, you are deserving to have healthy relationships, stable relationships, and that just because you come from instability or a lack of something doesn't mean that it has to continue. It can all stop with you, and you can start to create something anew and different for you and those around you that you truly care about. Because once you have come to a realization that what you experienced was something that you did not, like, it wasn't something that had the positive impact that it was needed in your life. And so you start to see and realize how important it is for you to be the one to form that and create that around you, starting with yourself. And that has been the most key thing along my journey, is just realizing that, well, if a healthy relationship did not come, if I did not come from that, then I needed to make sure that I took the positives and those things from within the relationships I was, experiencing, and using that, to keep moving forward, but realizing where, certain behaviors, as I mentioned, have to change, and those changes start with you. And instead of feeling like you were unfortunate of those things, you start to see it as a beautiful gift, because you're now able to give that to not only yourself, but now create it all around you, because you have experienced the complete opposite and now know what is of true value to you and is truly healthy. And now you start to make that a priority and being the example. And that makes all the difference, Divine Family. And knowing that you have the power to do things differently than what you've always known. And for so long, I thought that I had to just accept it, just be accepting, and this is what I have, and so be it. I have no choice, but you have all the choice. And whether it's relationships with family, friends, a spouse, co-workers, your children, you have to understand that those relationships, those bonds that you form, if they're of most importance to you, you'll do what is needed from within your own being to set that foundation, because it all starts with you. And that's key. That's the most important thing, and the thing we can always start to remember along our journey, because once you do, everything around you will become so beautiful and just full of the love, the joy, and the true unconditionalness all around you. And now you can see that because you chose to be that chain breaker of unhealthy, unstable relationships, now you have the gift of just creating that harmony all around you. And that has made the most difference for me in my journey, because we feel like we are stuck having to deal with something or someone, and that is not the case. We don't, and we're not, and we don't deserve to have less than anything that we are worthy of. And I don't care if that is from family, friends, co-workers, your spouse, your children. If the relationship is unhealthy, you have every right to cut it off. You have every right to develop and let it be known that, you know, the relationships around you will be of, you know, positive energy, will be of unconditional love and peace, joy, and balance. I'm not saying that every day, all day is going to be perfect, but at least we will be able to know how to work with each other, even in difficult situations, and still have unconditional love for one another, and a true acceptance and appreciation for one another. And so yes, divine family, always remember that and understand that it starts with you, and it can all end with you, and something new can be created and formed from that experience that you've had. And if you're someone who has come from a beautiful environment, then it's important for you to continue that. Know that, you know, you have that blessing to continue to spread that all around you, and keep a generation of healthiness in every way, in relationships, because that will be the staple of just the environments you choose around you, like, and you choose to continue. And so if that is something that you grew up and has always been, you know, something that your family and loved ones and friends around you have made very, very, very clear that is important, which is, you know, support of one another, healthy bonds and relationships to create those spaces for each other and in each other's lives for, you know, growth, for harmony. And so that's just a message that I came to my soul from divine God put in my heart. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all.